Vunder is part of the self-styled nobility of the Underhive. Decades ago, 3 crime families took over 2 tunnels, Drake's Gantry and the Grey Wastes trading post. Together they formed a triumvirate to rule over the 3 settlements and the dozen or so surrounding domes between the Dust Falls drop and the Ash Gates interchange. Against the odds, the families didn't turn on each other or fall prey to criminal rivals. Instead, they managed to endure until their children grew up to inherit the lands of their parents. The Gorvos family runs 2 tunnels alongside the Feyburn and Caorca clans. And Vunder is heir apparent to the Gorvos line. Unfortunately for the Gorvos family, Vunder is an idiot. Clad in Underhive finery, Vunder genuinely believes himself a hive noble. He apes any uphive fashions or affectations he happens to hear about, and goes out of his way to antagonize guilders and enforcers who don't properly respect his position. Needless to say, he is universally despised and has survived only by virtue of his lineage. Vunder's sister Gayan has been working for years to rid her family of him. On the pretext of having him prove his noble superiority, Gayan organises alliances with local gangs whereby Vunder will accompany them on business important to the family. So far, Vunder has been hired out to numerous local factions, though much to Gayan's frustration, has yet to get himself killed. Kia ora and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon and this is the huge series where I give you bite-sized videos on every single Dramatis Personae and hired gun in the game of Necromunda. Please do like, share and subscribe and check out the Patreon as well before I get into this video on the probably most unpopular guy in the whole of the Underhive. A little bit of lore there that you had. Obviously Gayan, the Gunk Queen, is the sister of this guy and she absolutely hates him. It sounds like pretty much everybody hates this guy, but they just can't get rid of him. I know a few people like this myself. And the model certainly conveys an air of sort of superiority and it just looks like a bit of a bastard, doesn't he? I've got this model. I've got both of them actually from Forge World, by the way. They come in a pack, Gayan and Vunder, and they're pretty good models. I really like the fact that they've got a slightly distinct, they've got their own style, they've got their own sort of armor, their own sort of gear on them, which is not very similar to anything else in the game. They certainly have their own aesthetic, which is really cool. But this guy, he's got a sort of goatee with some two-sword hair, a sword, a sort of rapier over the shoulder there, and on the other side, a weird sort of lizard creature. I'm not sure what these creatures are called. I'd like to know. If you know in the comments, then do let me know. But there's also a smaller version of this exact same creature on one of the Underhive traders, I believe, as well, which I've also got the model of. Same looking creature, if you ask me. Nice little bit of chest armor and a sort of overcoat with a brace of pistols and whatnot and a huge buckle. He looks a bit like a pirate, basically, which I quite like about these two. They definitely look quite swashbuckling. But Vunder Gorvos, let's look at the stats and stuff. 145 credits is pretty cheap for him. He is not bad either for 145 credits, if you ask me. I think the stats here are pretty good for 145 credits when you take into account all the gear that he's got as well. He has a movement of 5, a weapon skill of 2+, which is just fantastic, so excellent in close combat. Not so good at shooting though, with a 5+ ballistic skill there. Strength and toughness 3, so very average on those. Wounds 2, initiative 4 up, and attacks only 1. So a bit of a letdown on the attacks, strength and toughness there, unfortunately, and ballistic skill actually. But the mental stats are frankly terrible. He has a leadership of 8, a cool of 7, which is better than a scum by 1, a willpower of 8, and an intelligence of 9. So he's certainly not very smart. He's certainly not Von Buren smart anyway. In terms of the skills that come baked into Vunder Gorvos, he has Rain of Blows and Step Aside. Step Aside meaning that you can sort of, dodge attacks in close combat if you're lucky, and Rain of Blows as well, which means that you can effectively take a simple fight action, which is pretty cool, doing it twice in a turn. He comes with 2 stub guns, a shotgun with solid and scatter, and a sword. So 4 weapons he comes with, which is really nice. The sword is one of my favourite sort of cheap basic weapons. It's +1 to hit, it's -1 AP, and it comes with parry. I love swords, they're awesome. Shotguns are always great, especially when you give them extra ammo and stuff. And stub guns, 2 stub guns, really nice to have, especially when you've got that shitty ballistic skill, so you can use them close up for those +2 to hit bonuses. He comes with flak armor as well, and the full rules for this guy can be found in the Book of Judgment. It's pretty straightforward. You know, you've got a couple of okay skills there. a bunch of sort of mediocre equipment, which isn't too bad. And I think all in all, with 2 wounds and a weapon skill of 2 up, for 145 credits, this guy isn't bad at all. I can definitely see myself taking him in games, especially now I have the model as a sort of bounty hunter, stand-in and hired gun. However, you could of course use this guy as the leader of an outcast gang, as I like to highlight in all of these videos. Personally, I wouldn't. I mean, he's okay, I suppose, but he just doesn't have any sort of unique dynamic mechanic, I suppose, to really make him stand out from any of the leaders that you could use potentially. But I do like it. The actual model does have a sort of air of leader about him as well. I think it would be a nice piece on the tabletop, and does look like he could be a leader in a nice collection of miniatures as well. Or like me, you could just use the miniature for what it is, and just use the miniature as just another outcast champion or something like that as well. But that's some food for thought on Vunder Gorvos, the most unpopular and just, yeah, a bit of a dickhead by the sounds of it. So it is what it is. Anyway, that's it from me. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.